and we'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. If you are online, say hello wherever you are. We are so glad you're joining us that way as well. Yeah, but if you're sitting, you can just sit. It's okay. Just wave. Turn around and wave. Wave at the camera. Hi, camera. Yes, go ahead. You all got so quiet. There are at least as many of you in the other room. So we're going to wait just a second as everybody makes their way in. If you have not been to the branch before and you are here today, can I just extend a special welcome to you and surprise we threw you a party. We were so glad you're coming that we threw you a party. So we are so glad you are here for this day as we celebrate 20 years. What a milestone. It is fun to be together to celebrate, to see some faces that we haven't seen in a while. And we're going to just tell stories all morning long. And then food and some other fun things a little bit later. So before we get started, though, I want to invite Katie up. She's going to tell us about an opportunity for a little mini retreat coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Okay, just got to speak into it. So my name is Katie Madison. I am a recently certified spiritual director, and I am going to be offering an opportunity on the evening of Wednesday, January 28th, for a couple hours to do a couple different spiritual practices, just to be quiet and connect with God, and we can do some wrestling if that's where you feel like you're at. So I just invite you to come and learn some new practices that you can engage in. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
I don't know if we have another announcement to do or not.
I don't.
But I did want to just say to you, as a Chicago, I'll call you a Chicago native.
Thank you. It's not completely true, but it's okay.
I do want to acknowledge that the Bears won last night. We don't need to clap.
Yes,
That's
we
not
can.
necessary.
It's okay.
Listen, congratulations, I think we can offer to you genuinely. However, I do not wish your team well. I do just want to state that fact in the week ahead. I wish you well.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
not them.
So this whole we like to live in tension as a faith community.
Yep.
Yeah, we're practicing that in
That's
front
right.
of you. So there you go. I cheered for your Lions last year. That's all I have to say. Now
That's
I'm
on
gonna
you.
sit
That's
down.
on you. I don't know what to say. Yeah.
Better person.
Well, this morning, we're going to tell just a whole lot of stories. We're going to hear from a lot of people, and we're going to sing songs that we haven't sung in a very long time. Some of them we're going to reach deep back into the archive, which should be fun. I'm going to begin this morning by telling kind of the story of the branch's beginning. And yes, that is 20 years ago, if you can believe that. 20 years is a really long time. And if you don't believe me, here's the proof. It's fine. It's fine. That is the picture that we put in the proposal that Andy and I wrote that we had to submit to our denomination. And things really can change. At the time, 20 years ago, I only had 2 children. That's their Halloween costume. Rhea was a lamp. It's not a joke. And Zeke's there as a cow. Yeah. So, a lot has changed because 20 years is a really long time. In 2005, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire was the #1 movie in the country. YouTube launched in 2005. So when we started, it didn't exist. Facebook was just starting to work its way out of colleges. It wasn't a national social media platform. MySpace was at its peak in 2005. No joke, yeah. 2% of Americans in 2005 had a smartphone. And none of them had an iPhone, because those didn't come till 2007. Right, so if you had one, you had a BlackBerry or a Palm Trio, if any of you can remember that device. 20 years, it's a long time, and as I've been sorting through pictures. I've been kind of going back and finding things, and I've been reading old documents that we wrote over the years. I've been using Google's search, Gmail's search, like constantly, trying to figure out dates and when did this happen or when did this person come. It's really quite a nice archive to get a sense of it. But the overwhelming emotion I've had, even in this gloomy week that we've had of cold and rain and gray, is just overwhelming gratitude. Because in all that the last 20 years has held, and a lot of it has been wonderful, and some of it has been really challenging, but in all of it, I can recognize how it has all shaped me, and I think shaped us. And I'm going to even be as bold to say it shaped the world. Not maybe in some large, grand way, but because we have encountered this community, the world around us has changed. And I'm so grateful to have been a part of a community that is making a difference, that's made a difference. I hope you get a sense of that gratitude as we tell these stories and look at old pictures. But let me again begin by going back to the beginning, really before the beginning. In 2004, I was on staff at a church called River Tree. It was a fairly new church in the Byron Center, Wyoming area. I'd worked there for about 5 years as an associate pastor. When an opportunity came along, there was a church called New Life Reformed Church who owned this building. They had let other churches in the area know that they were open to having a new church start here. And at first, River Tree, the church that I was working at, thought that what it would do is River Tree would help something new get started here. And those on River Tree's staff, me and others, would lend a little bit of our time for maybe 6 months to kind of help get this thing off the ground. And that sounded like a pretty exciting idea, in part because one of the other people who would be involved was my dear friend, Andy Drott. And so, hey, wow, we get to work together for a few months, help get this new thing off. Wow, it was really kind of great. This is a picture of Andy and Gina and Bethany and I and Zeke, again, making the pictures today, in 2006, the very, very, very beginning of 2006, about 2 weeks after the branch started. And so Andy and I had this opportunity to think about, wow, we get to be a part of something for a little bit. But the more we thought about it, the more this dream started to emerge, where we began to wonder, and we began to dream. What if we didn't just help something new get off the ground for a few months, but what if we dreamt big enough to offer the ideas for a new church? What if we dreamt big enough, took the leap enough that we were the ones who would lead it together? And as they say, of course, the rest is history, right? We submitted a proposal, a 13-page proposal. I read it this week, again, walking down memory lane, and it's actually not bad. Not bad. It holds up fairly well. I will say we also used the coolest font in 2005. You nailed it, Papyrus. Yeah. Oh, man, we were so cutting edge. That is the front page of our proposal right there. And in 2004, that proposal was approved, which let us begin to get to work in 2005. In 2005, we started gathering people who lived here in the neighborhood. People we knew, people we didn't know. We started meeting in backyards, and we got to work in this building. If you haven't yet, check out the picture of what this sanctuary looked like in the late 90s, and come then and look at what it looks like in here. Because when we arrived, there was mauve carpeting, pews up here for the choir loft. Everything was kind of pink and white around here, It was a very classic church building for its time. And so we did what you see around here, took out pews and painted and put in screens and all of that stuff. And then in the fall, we had a couple of what we called preview services, soft launches, you might call them today. This is a picture from the one in November. We didn't tell anybody we were doing these. We just invited people that we knew and people that were part of our core group. And they came for a few months while we did that. And then on December 18, 2005, we held our first official gathering, which is here. This is that first Sunday morning before Christmas. So that's a little bit about how we got started. And what we're going to, again, do this morning is do our best to tell some of the stories of the last 20 years. There is no way we can tell all the stories. There's no way we can share all of the pictures or reminisce about all of the things. But that's partly what we're going to do after as well. And so when we're done here, we'll have a chance to be over there and look at the history and go down into the basement as well and enjoy some food together and stories there. So that's the beginning. We'll tell more as we go along. What we're going to do now is we're going to get into a song. We're going to do a song together. So Zeke and JP, come on up here. I asked Nate Winkleman, who is one of our worship leaders. That's right, that's correct. And you'll hear from Nate in a little bit. I asked him, like, what are some core songs that you remember, that really live on for you? And this that we're going to do here is one of them. It's called Nothing
Is Impossible. And most of you had not heard this song, I'm going to guess, or you haven't sung it here, because we haven't sang it here in a long, long time. So here's how the chorus goes. Can I just teach it to you? You can stand up while I'm getting ready to do that. Through you, I can do anything. I can do all things, 'cause it's you who gives me strength. Nothing is impossible through you. Blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken. I am living by faith. Nothing is impossible. So that's the chorus. I hear some of you singing, so you're going to have to carry the rest of us. Let's get into it. I can do all things, 'cause it's you who gives me strength. Nothing is impossible through you. Blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken. I am living by faith. Nothing is impossible. Gonna live by what I feel. Deep down I know that you're here with me. I know that you can do anything. I can do anything. I can do all things, 'cause it's you who gives me. Impossible through you. Blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken. I'm living by faith. Nothing is impossible. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. Through you, I can do anything. I can do all things, 'cause it's you who gives me strength. Nothing is impossible through you. Blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken. I am living by faith. Nothing is impossible. Not bad, not bad. You can have a seat, everybody. And our first story is going to come from Bethany.
I don't know if it would have been better to go last, but I'm surprised by how emotional I already am and how much is flooding in. But I have something I planned, and so I'm going to focus on this. It's a very funny thing to be a part of something for 20 years. That is a very long time. And in those 20 years, I have changed a lot. Not just my hairstyle and the number of kids that I have, but the way that I view God and the way that I view myself and the way that I view the world. The branch has played a key part in this. From the start, the branch has been a place where I could just be myself and has continued to be a place where I can just be myself. It's a very significant statement. A place where I can be myself, that's what I want for all of us. It's what I want for everyone in this world to have, a place where they can really belong and come just as they are without any pretending. But I would like to add a special thank you to all of you for extending this acceptance to me, however I've shown up, with my wet hair, with my pink hair, eating my breakfast in the front row, or sitting on the floor with an upset child. Singing, teaching, crying, laughing, you have welcomed me and given me a place that I can show up authentically just as I am. And again, that's pretty special. But there's this very invisible role that I wear here called pastor's wife. It feels weird to mention it because it's so not a thing here. It almost doesn't feel true. Some of that is on purpose because of the way Chris and I intended things at the beginning, but really, it's because of you. Because you are the ones who have built and sustained a place that is about welcome and is about love. And I feel continually challenged and inspired by the ease of this group who just embraces other people without judgment and without expectation. You have made and continue to make a positive influence on my life, and you challenge me to keep my heart really open and honest. In other places, in other groups, this invisible role I wear is really about performance, and I can't think of a time that I felt that once. Not from you. Chris, nobody knows more than you how much I did not want the role of a pastor's wife. And I'm just really glad to say out loud that I'm happy you are a pastor here, and I'm really happy to be your wife. In 20 more years, I think and I hope that I will be a very different person from who I am today. I think my family will have a really different shape, who knows about my hair, and I really hope that I keep leaning into learning and being curious with my mindset that offers a continued evolution of faith in my life. And my ability to do that will certainly be influenced by you. And I believe that we will still be a place that is about welcome and acceptance. Thank you.
Thanks, love. A mistake to put you up front like that and then to have to follow you, but here we are. In Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, Juliet asks, what's in a name? What's in a name? She's arguing that a person's name doesn't determine who they must become, and she's right. But I would add that a name can give someone or some church a hopeful direction. And so at some point along the way, we had to choose a name for this community, and I thought I'd tell that story of how that came to be. When we were starting, a lot of people would kind of guess, and they would say, oh, well, you work at a church called River Tree, and so cleverly, you decided to call this church the Branch, as a branch, an offshoot of River Tree. Those folks were wrong. It was a good idea, but they were incorrect. This was not another site of River Tree. It wasn't something that really was birthed out of River Tree in that sort of way. Our name comes from an Old Testament word, a Hebrew word. It doesn't show up all that much in the Old Testament. You might pronounce, or you would pronounce it in Hebrew, as best I can pronounce it, Neser, which is translated in English often as branch. But its meaning means family. Family. Isaiah 11 is probably the place where this word shows up that we've heard before. A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse, the verse begins. And if you're wondering who's Jesse, when I was a kid and I would hear this verse, because this verse sometimes is read around Christmas time, the only Jesse I knew of was Uncle Jesse from Full House. And I assure you it's not him. That's not the reference here, okay? This is Jesse, father of David, as in David and Goliath and David the king, one of the most important people in Jewish history. And Isaiah is painting a vision here of a shoot coming up from the stump of Jesse. That stump really could also just be translated as family. A shoot will come up from the stump of David's family. If you know the story of David's family, though, it doesn't end well. As great as David was, David's lineage becomes broken. In a couple generations of his death, the kingdom that he led is split in two, and then it's eventually conquered by Assyria and Babylon, and so many Jews are taken into exile. It's a stump. That's all that's left of Israel is a stump. And I don't know about you, but when I see a stump out in the woods, I think, oh, that's a dead tree, right? Signifies that something has died. But Isaiah again's painting a vision here of something really quite remarkable happening. Out of this apparently dead stump comes a shoot, a branch that will bear fruit. This same idea is taught in the New Testament. Jesus picks this metaphor up in John 15 when he says, I am the true vine and my Father is the gardener. You are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. So in these two verses, we have a couple of things happening. One is that God is bringing something new out of the ashes, out of the stump, out of the barren soil. And that new thing is a community, a family, a place of belonging. And that new family is connected to something or to someone, to the vine, to Christ, to what is good and true, and as a result, it will bear fruit. Well, now you hopefully get a sense of why we named the branch the branch. We were hopeful that we would live into these images and metaphors, that God would plant something new here. And that new thing would be a family, a place of belonging and meaning. And we would grow and bear fruit, not because we were clever or oh so smart, but because we were connected to the vine. And hopefully that fruit would bless the world. Well, let me share a story from someone who had a strong hand in the branch's beginning. This is a video from Andy Drott. He and I co-pastored for 9 years. We started the branch together, co-pastored for 9 years, and this is from his home in South Carolina. He sent this video to us today.
My name is Andy Drott, and on behalf of Gina and Haley and Maya, I want to say hello from South Carolina. My memories of the branch run deep. The decade that our family spent starting and building and growing and figuring out what the branch would be are some of the very best, some of the most precious memories that our family has and continues to reminisce about regularly. I could go back to Chris and I as fast friends when I moved to their high school senior year, or our time as roommates in college, or so many coffees together as we dreamed of what the branch could be. But I think more than anything else, the thing that sticks out to me, especially in those early years, was our desire, especially the Drotts and the DeBlays together, our desire to be a family out in the neighborhoods of Southeast Grand Rapids, not just a group that gathers on Sunday mornings. And so the natural inclination was to gather in homes. I remember early in our starting up the branch, we decided we needed to get out in the neighborhoods, and the easiest way to do that was to have meals together. And meal nights in those early days, sometimes most of the people that were showing up on Sunday mornings would show up to eat dinner together in someone's home. And there's just something real and raw and powerful about kind of building a family on mission together, out in the neighborhoods which we were trying to reach, to be good news. And I'll never forget the impact that had for just who our family ended up being, no matter where we ended up in the world. Sometimes, we had a regular meal night in Mexico when we lived there for a few months. Every Sunday night was, beans and rice bowls up on the roof when we were in San Miguel de Allende. And it changed us for the better. And I remember that with great fondness, as does our entire family. So that's probably one of our strongest, most meaningful memories from the early years, sharing meals together in our homes, being real people together on mission in the neighborhoods that we were trying to serve and reach. And so I hope that's meaningful to some of you. Hope that there's another 20 years to the branch's story, or even longer. Have a wonderful morning. Bye.
Good to see him again and hear his voice. He mentions meal nights there, right? Some of you remember those. I could hear a couple of ums as he mentioned them. And what Andy says is right. When we would do those, we could do them because we were so small that the entire church could fit in someone's home for a meal, And then as time went on, we weren't quite able to do that anymore in the same way. But meal nights were a really important part of those first years. So was Create. Create started in 2007. I was stunned by that when I went back and looked, that it started that early on. There was a period where we took a break from Create, but it began early in 2007. I want to mention another name. In 2009, we said goodbye to J.P. Dutton. Some of you who've been here a very long time remember J.P., and he was a gift to us, someone who led us in music. He left in 2009 to go down to Richmond, Virginia. In 2010, we organized as a congregation, which just means we became an official congregation or church in our denomination. And I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but we did get some hardware that day. Look at this, huh? Yeah, baby. August 15, 2010. I've petitioned the stewards to build a trophy case in the building. They have yet to approve that request. They did give us that nice emblem. That was a good morning. You can't become organized until you are self-sufficient financially and you're self-governing. And those two things happened for us in 2010. And then the other thing that is absolutely worth noting, although I have the year wrong, because it's 2009, is when Nate Winkleman came to the branch. And Nate, we'd love to hear from you, my friend. Welcome.
Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely.
Those of you who do know who I am, I noticed I have 6 minutes. Whatever. No. Yeah, Chris did. He's like, you want to do video? Video, right? You want to do a video? I'll try and keep it short. My brain loves rabbit trails. I just have so many thoughts, and I want everybody to hear them. It's hard for me to narrow it down. But, I do have to comment. So the memory of the song that they played, for me, there's a moment, and it wasn't that long ago, really, where we had a Nepali-speaking church that met in this building. We had a Spanish-speaking church that met in this building. And I had formed very, very deep relationships with the different people in those two congregations. And we met together and worshiped together. And that song, I just remember being on stage with them and I peed my pants a little, I think, because it was so good. It was so fun. It was so just inspiring. So that was just a really memorable time for me. So thanks for sharing that song. And I don't know if Chris never played the guitar with me other than maybe twice, I think, in the entire 11 years that I was here. For those of you who, sorry, I was laughing at Chris just so you know. It wasn't like a nervous laugh. For those of you who don't know, and some of you that do know me may not know some of the stuff I'm about to say. So my connection to the branch actually goes back to when Chris and Andy were dreaming about this place. And by this place, I actually mean us, this family. Andy and I go way back into college. We did college ministry together. We were part of a church plant together. We were part of a thing called Campus Crusade for Christ back at CMU. Chris couldn't hack it at CMU, so he had to leave before I met him. Andy and I had both been in ministry for a little while at this point. I was in Montague. He was at Western Theological Seminary. And we connected because we loved each other deeply. And we had kids about the same age and got together. And he starts telling me about this idea of doing church where it's based on building community. It's based on mission. It's based on... And at that point in my ministry career, which actually kind of makes my stomach sick when I say that, but yeah, I won't go into that. See, this is right there. That's a rabbit trail. I'm going to avoid it, okay? My entire philosophy was based on my earlier career as a teacher. I saw everything I was there to do similar to Jesus, right? He was a teacher. And so I thought, I wasn't like Jesus, so I was not even close. But I did see myself as a person who I needed to equip people and let them run with it. I did not see myself as a person who was going to go there and control things. And those of you who've been around church for a while know that tends to happen. The pastors and the leadership tend to take control and go with it. And that was not who I was. And then Andy's telling me, hey, I want to plant a church that's that way. And so at the time, he's like, you interested? And I was in a full-time position at a church, doing pretty well. I had dreams of sort of being a part of ginormous churches, and I did. So met them. And then 2000, I have notes to keep me on track, and so I got to go to them. So let's see, it was 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. I'm horrible with dates, but I did have some of this referenced in writing that I have. I was at a church in Greenville, Michigan, a pretty good-sized church, kind of mega church, performance-based, smoke and lights. Not an exaggeration, literally smoke and lights. I had been reaching out, the year before, so this was 2008. It doesn't matter. You follow me. Andy Drought and Gina and Elizabeth, my wife, and I were part of the initial art prize with Andy and Gina. We got a venue, had a really great experience, and while we were doing that, Andy was sort of like, so how's it going? And talking to me. Now, they had JP at the time, so there wasn't, but he really wanted us to come to Grand Rapids, and we were in Greenville, so it wasn't super far. Anyway, got burned out. I was being asked for several years of my life to be the traditional pastor who does 10 million things and puts all the burden of everything on their shoulders, which was not what I wanted to do. It wasn't part of who I was. And I want to give you guys detail, but I'm just going to keep going. I got to a point where my compassion was gone for humans. And it's because of the humans. I was being asked to take on so much. People would show up at our house on a Sunday evening, a Saturday evening, the days that I was supposed to be off. And of course, Bethany alluded to this earlier. My poor wife would be like, why are these people in our house? Why are they coming to, this is our time. So I was very burnt out and very angry. It's ironically, he's like, yeah, that's who we hired. No, actually, I'm going to give you a little taste of who they hired. But so I reached out to Andy. Andy and I were talking on a regular basis. Moving your phone, Chris. And they had lost JP. I think they had already gotten somebody else for a little bit. I can't remember their name, but there was a little interim. And then that person had other opportunities. And Andy was like, hey, you interested? And I said, yeah. And they hired me. Now, I just want to give you guys, those of you, I don't even know how many people would have ever seen this, but on the website when I came to the branch, we had a profile thing where we wrote down stuff. This is what mine said. And again, this is who Andy and Chris and the stewards hired. My profile, Nate Winkleman. Love God. Love my beautiful wife, Elizabeth. Love my two crazy boys, Eamon and Eli. Son of Robert and Carol. Friend of people. Enemy to all supervillains. Creative arts and worship at the branch. Experience. I was raised by wolves till the age of 5. I was abducted by aliens till the age of 10. Trained by ninjas till the age of 21. Now I do art and music and stuff at churches. My education, I watched the Discovery Channel once. Sesame Street as much as possible. I have a doctorate in groove. Central Michigan University is a cool place. They gave me a piece of paper to say that I'm smart. Skills, I can curl my tongue. I also can lift a lot of weight. My mom and dad can vouch for me, and Andy and Chris like me. So that was who they hired. When I got, as I have been gone for a while now and look back, I look back at that moment in my life, and it really was, I don't want to be dramatic about this, but it was kind of a lifeline because I was ready to just give up. And I knew that what Andy and Chris were doing here, what the branch was doing here, would be good. And so even though I probably needed a sabbatical, I came here. And I started healing. I was brought into the family to be allowed to do what I was meant to do, what my heart told me to do, what my brain told me to do. And so I did. And I did things like Matt Zommerly, those of you who know him, he came in, he was here before I was, but he had never played an instrument in his life, loved listening to music, but had no experience. And I was like, want to play bass? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, let's get one. And a week later, he was on stage because of the desire. And those of you who know, Matt Zommerly is an excellent bass player now. Andy Miller walked in. He and Chris walked in on their first Sunday, walked in through here, and the drums used to be in the pit right here. And he walked by, and we didn't have a drummer that day. And he goes, I play the drums. I'm like, cool, you want to play? And he's like, really? I was like, sure. And I didn't know, but obviously those are two crazy moments. But that was my philosophy, was put people in this spot where they can do something and figure it out. And we'll help them figure it out. Now, that takes, I wrote 25 pages thinking through this. writing down memories. But my biggest thing, and it's funny as I look out, these students were, so I don't like calling them kids, okay? So I'm going to call them students. But for those of you who maybe don't understand that, I'm talking about kids. They were, like my oldest son is over here. I look at these kids, and I'm like, they're adults now. Like not even, like they're even older than college age now, or at least at college age. But that was my mission. I deeply thought that students were not included in the family of the church enough. And so even in the other places I went, my goal was to bring in kids into the congregation, into the family, and let them not just be there or have their own thing, but actually influence the culture of what we were doing, be a part of the decisions that we were making, driving the bus in the direction that we're going together. So that's what I did, and the branch allowed me to do that. And I think it must have been a graduation party, but I got so emotional just thinking about how amazing these humans are, the fact that JP and Zeke are up on stage leading, Chris, whatever. But I'm just super happy, and of the time that I got to be who I am. For 11 years, I got to be who I am and do ministry the way I wanted to be. And it really wasn't, I was thankful that it never had to be about me. I have so much more that I could say about this, but I'm going to kind of leave it at that. I was part of being a family at the branch, both as a recipient, being part of it, but also being able to do a little bit of coaching too. And I watched these kids grow up, and my boys were included in that. They went right along with me. So, like I said, I have so much more to say about it, but I'm just thankful that I had the opportunity to be a part of this family for as long as I was. And I don't really have any more to say other than that. So thank you.
Yeah. I came across this picture while I was on Facebook this morning, and it is Sydney, Elena Overman, Eamon's in the back there in the red, Zeke's in the guitar, Tara's on the keyboard, and Sienna's back there playing maybe keys as well. And JP's on the drums, I think. And this is what Nate did. That's a visual of what he just talked about. Empowering people, turning them loose. And when Nate left, we felt that for sure. We felt both the gratitude for all that he had done and the hole that was left by all that he was pouring into these people. And so it's so good to see you this morning, both of you. Yeah, we're gonna dig back into the archive and sing another song here. This one might even be older than the first one that we sang. I asked this is the one that Bethany kind of remembered. She helped lead music for us. It takes Kevin back to California, where he used to lead music. So that's how long ago this is, and I can give you a hand here. Yes. It's a David Crowder song, so it's possible that you've heard it before. But again, you're all savvy people. I am not that tall. You can, hard to judge from here. Well, let's stand and let's join in this song here. Oh, praise him.
Turn your ear to heaven and hear the noise inside. The sound of angels are the sound of angels' song, and all this for a king. We could join and sing, all for Christ the King. How constant, how divine, this song of ours will rise. Oh, how constant, how divine. This love of ours will rise. Will rise. Oh, praise him. Oh, praise him. He is holy. He is holy. Yeah. Turn your gaze to heaven and raise a joyous noise. The sound of salvation come, the sound of rescued ones, and all this for a king. Angels join to sing, all for Christ the King. How infinite and sweet, this love so rescuing. Oh, how infinite and sweet, this great love that has redeemed. As one we sing, hallelujah, hallelujah. He is holy, he is holy, yeah. Oh, praise him, oh, praise him. He is holy, he is holy, yeah. Oh, praise him, oh, praise him. He is holy, he is holy, yeah. La 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 la. Oh la 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 la. Oh la 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 la. La 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 la.
Oh man, what a trip. I love it. Have a seat, everybody. Thanks for leading us, you guys. Ellie and Sarah, I want to invite you to come on up. I was, again, using the Gmail archive to figure out dates and things, because I'm not great with dates either when it spans 20 years. And I think you started to attend here in 2009. Does that sound right? Yeah, very okay, good. So 2009, wow. Wow, I love it. It just a little bit ago. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
How many minutes do we have? We have 4. Oh, you better go first.
Oh, Lord, yeah. Okay, so as we were thinking back, which has been, almost 17 years now, so many memories come to mind. It's so hard to choose. But so I'll just kind of, throughout history, sort of say what stuck out to me. So one of the first Sundays we were here, Hannah and Drew Brennan turned around, introduced themselves to us, and within, I think, a couple of months, we had started attending a small group in their home. And we met a number of people that don't attend here anymore, but Jason and Mindy. We started just meeting with them regularly, and now 17 years later, just some people that we have lived a lot of life with and feel very, very grateful for. It was just, I guess, just the idea of just being so welcoming and so including has always been a part of the branch. Also, as some of you know, and we told our story this summer about our journey with infertility, which was a really difficult time in our life. This church was just incredible. And just a couple of memories from that, like so many people were so wonderful to us, but I just remember it was actually at Christmas time and we were doing the birth of Christ, and that was just a huge trigger for me, thinking about this baby being born, and I wanted a baby so badly, and I had to leave. And Laura Workman just found me. And I've known Laura for many years, but we're not like, we don't hang out outside of church a ton, and just so compassionate, just sat with me. And it meant so much. And Chris and Bethany showed up one night when we had gotten chosen for a baby, and that mom changed her mind the night she had her child, and they just sat with us that night. And there's just so many moments of just being real and vulnerable. And I also just want to encourage this church as you walk together that being open and real and vulnerable, people will show up. People want to show up. People want to be known and seen and heard and walk with you. And the last thing I'll say is that as we've gone through different stages of our life, sometimes we haven't attended for like months at a time. And it never feels weird coming back. I feel like you can come when you want to come. And it's this balance of like, it's not that I feel like people don't care or like, oh, you're back, great. It's this idea of like, wherever you are in life, it's okay. Like, you are welcome as you are when you are ready to be here. And that has just been a blessing to us.
So, good morning. So, thinking about the branch, I went sort of pre-branch, and I went to a Christian college in Indiana called Taylor. And one of the things that just has stuck with me all these years is this fearless embrace of the truth. And so there was this kind of saying on campus, and it would come up in chapel from the president on down, all truth is God's truth. And so we're not going to be afraid of, we're not going to close ourselves off to sources of truth. And that's, so for us, finding a church where that is true was always high priority. Not many of you will probably remember this, but it was probably 2010 or something. The stage used to get decorated for sermon series a little more than it does now, and there were all these popcorn buckets and things, and it was summer. It was like I don't know, summer of the movies, and like so there'd be clips or whatever. So I'm getting to my point. Andy, who we saw earlier, in a lot of Downton Abbey was big at the branch. Some of you might remember, and if you haven't seen the show, it's the very relatable story of a British earl and his family in the early 20th century. And in the first season, a huge plot point is that, I know everyone knows like about the peerage system in Great Britain, but if you don't, if you become an earl, you have a lot of responsibility financially for your community, but also you have to pass on the earldom to someone, and it has to be a male heir. And in the very first episode, the heir goes down with the Titanic, and it's like, who's going to be the heir? What's going to happen to the estate? What's going to happen to our community? What's going to happen to our family? And so Andy, Paul talks about somewhere in the New Testament about, we are adopted into God's family. And so they, second spoiler alert, they do find an heir, but it's this distant cousin. And he's like kind of a country bumpkin in their eyes. And he comes, and because he's the heir, he is immediately, he has the status of, it doesn't matter what his past was, he is now the next earl. And so he's treated that way, and they're grooming him for that position. And so Andy made this comparison to how God adopts us into his family, and then it's as if we've always been. And this was during our fertility struggle when we were kind of between like, well, do we keep pushing forward, or do we pursue other routes? And that sermon, oh, you were away. I didn't. She's the brains of the operation, so she had to remind me that she wasn't even here that Sunday. And she got back. I told her, like, I'm ready for us to adopt, because this, because of the branch's embrace of truth wherever you find it, and that's how we became parents. Ultimately was, and I don't know would have happened anyway. I don't know. But like just that. Nate, get me off the stage.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dangerous to put microphones in people's hands, no doubt about it. Yeah. We do love it. We love it. So, the Grushkas start coming in 2009. So that gets us, also Nate coming in that same year. Let me kind of flip ahead to what you could call the next chapter and just point out some things that happened in that 2010 to 2015 space. I was blown away by this as well. The Alger Garfield Neighborhood Collaborative started in 2011, and we were a part of starting that. If you don't know what that is, that's a group of churches here in the neighborhood who, a long time ago now, decided to start to work together. Not to compete, but to work together to help see this neighborhood flourish, and that came in 2011. In 2013, New Life, who built this building, who welcomed us and allowed us to begin, they worshiped together for the final time in 2013. And that meant it opened the door, it made space for a Spanish-speaking church to start here, Comunidad Cristiana, who then was with us for a number of years. We'll say more about that in a little bit. These 5 years held all sorts of things for us, but as I was reflecting, one of the words that came to mind was partnership. And our beginning is in partnership with New Life. I mean, we don't exist without New Life opening its doors. But when they closed, that could have been the end of partnership for us. And it actually was just a continuation from there. All right, New Life isn't here. What new could begin in this space that's now open? And then it was, as Nate mentioned, a Nepali-speaking community also here. 3 churches in one building for a number of years before the Nepali church went and built their own building, or bought their own building. And we've had nonprofits in this space and people using it for storage and just trying to find who can we partner with, even partnering with other churches. Yes, choosing to even do that. I think this is an important season in our life when we learned the hard work sometimes of being in it together. And yeah, it was hard at moments, but it was also so good. Nate peed his pants, apparently. I cried in this front row when we worshiped together, when the 3 churches were together. Really, really deep, meaningful stuff. And we're going to sing a song about that. It is, I think Kevin might have said, maybe someone else said this morning, it was in their top 5 of branch songs. This is one we've sung for a lot of years, and it fits who we are so well. It fits partnership so well. So let me invite you to stand and join in this one.
All this pain, I wonder if I'll ever find my way. I wonder if my life could really change at all. All this earth, could all that is lost ever be found? Could a garden come up from this ground at all? You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. All around, hope Hope is springing up from this old ground. Out of chaos, life is being found in you. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. You make me new. You are making me new. You make me new. You are making me new. You make me new. You are making me new. You make me new. You are making me new. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of You make me new. You are making me new.
Definitely a top 5. You can have a seat, everybody. We're going to share a couple of quick things from the next 5 years of the branch's life. In 2015, so 10 years ago, the Drott family departed for new adventures. This is a picture from that Sunday, a few of them here, including some people who don't look like this anymore. Yep. So the Drotts left in 2015, and a month later, I think, Teresa, you started coming to the branch with your family, and we wasted no time hiring her. I think it was 3 or 4 months, early 2016 maybe, that you joined the staff team, and we are the better for it. That is the truth. Yep.
I didn't expect to cry as much as I have this morning, which is ridiculous. You all know that about me, but it's ridiculous that I didn't expect it. I know. You knew. I didn't. It's fine. It has been a gift for me. I'm going to cry more, so just brace yourself. It has been a gift for me and my family in the early years to be a part of this community because, as Bethany said, I could just be me. And that is, Nate alluded to this too, that is rare as a staff person in a church, and it's insanely rare, and it is a gift to be a part of a space that you all just treat Chris and I as one of you, and that is a gift. So thank you for that, for 10 years of that. That is a little nutty to me, but it's amazing. Unbeknownst to me, at the time that we showed up, we had just moved from Chicagoland, which is, yes, go Bears, thank you so much. I have the microphone now. We had just moved from Chicagoland, and I had lived there for 20 years and was pretty uprooted. So this place, as you've heard many times already this morning, this place was a place of healing for me too, to be able to sit and listen and to just be, and then to be invited into things, which was just, it was wackadoodle to me. I'm not gonna lie about that. But as I was looking back this week, I realized the moment that we showed up was a pretty big moment in the branch's history. It was the loss, however you had felt about Andy and Gina leaving. There was a loss of a loved person in the community, and there was a lot of heavy, and that could have been a real defining moment for the branch. And yes, it was. But when we showed up, we felt love and energy and joy, even in the midst of all the really hard. Like, you could feel both of those things present. And that's to me who the branch is, holding everything. We can hold all the joy that we are experiencing today, and all the hard that is going on in the world this week, all the ugly that is going on in the world this week. We can hold those two things together. That has been true for 10 years for me, and it is still true today and will be ongoing. All right, the things I was supposed to say. I didn't plan to say that, sorry. And if you are new here today, we don't normally go this long, but we're not done. When I first came, I first got hired, and one of the very first things we did as a faith community was to sit and have a conversation about LGBTQ inclusion in the church. This was 10 years ago, a big deal in the RCA, the denomination that we are a part of. They had asked all the churches to talk about this and to talk about the theological underpinnings. And a lot of churches ignored that plea, quite honestly, or just kind of half did it. Not the branch. The branch showed up for a whole month on Sunday mornings. Chris taught about the Bible passages that are applicable, and taught all the different views. And then we came back in the afternoon and sat downstairs in the fellowship hall and had conversations around a table. Can I tell you, I was terrified of these things as a new staff member and as a person who had experienced some pretty big blow-ups in churches before when tensions and disagreements came. And I sat in that space and I heard this community love each other through disagreement. And that was just pivotal to my decision to say, oh yeah, this is our place. This is something rare and something really beautiful. There were a few families or a few households who we lost along the way because of our decision to become affirming. But even in all of that, their departure wasn't angry. They didn't stomp out of here angrily. We could have conversations and we could say, we love you and we're going to support you wherever you go and we're going to bless you. But this faith community is going to be one who fully supports and welcomes and makes a place of belonging for all people, regardless of gender identity, sexual orientation, or anything else. It's a thing that we know we have not arrived fully, and we never will arrive fully, but we will keep learning and keep trying. So that was a big part of 2016. In the spring, right after that conversation, in the spring of 2017, Chris decided to take a sabbatical.
Bye-bye.
And
Yep.
left me all the... No. Here's what really happened. We sat around the table at Bethany and Chris's house and had a conversation of, hey, Teresa, would you do this thing? Would you spend your time at the branch while Chris takes a break and learns and studies and travels to Israel and Palestine for the family. And I got to do that, and it was lovely and wonderful because you all stepped up in ways that maybe you wouldn't have if Chris hadn't walked away for a little bit. It was beautiful to see you all step up. And that allowed us to do a couple of things together. We had a couple of trainings around anti-racism and about how to be a good neighbor in your neighborhood. And we gathered and had those conversations together and learned together. As we've seen some of these pictures and as we've been looking back the last couple of weeks, memories and emotions flood all of us, right? And as I stand in this space, even more of that comes. This is why we're all rambling a little bit, because we're standing in this space and even more comes. Because spaces hold memories. A lot of memories have happened in this building. So Janelle is going to come up here and tell us one more of those memories this morning.
Thanks. I'm Janelle. I have been attending for 19 years. That is half of my life. So all of my major life things have happened as I've been a part of this community. I was married, had 3 kids, all here. And so my story is really fast. We sit here. This is here. We sit here, which is great. I love being in the front. Except like when you have a bad Sunday. People see you in the front having a bad Sunday or a sad Sunday. And that happened shortly after I had Francie. If you know Francie, she arrived spunky and still is. But that made those months hard. And I already deal with postpartum anxiety, so it was just a hard morning, one of those times where you're kind of facing up to that hard stuff and overwhelm. And I was up here, and I'm sure Mike was holding Francie. I'm sure I wasn't alone, but in that moment, I felt that aloneness. And Stephanie and Laura just walked up and stood next to me and just put their arms around me, and that was it. They didn't tell me it would get better. They didn't tell me that I should savor these moments. They didn't do any of those things. They just held me in place and allowed me to feel what I needed to feel. And that is what this place is. It's a place where I felt like I could belong, even when I was crying in the front row. And over and over, that has been the example that has been set here of, hey, you want to preach sometimes? I don't know, I guess, sure, let's put you up front. And, oh, you want to lead our branch students? Oh, okay, sure, we'll give it a try. And it's always been a place where our gifts and who we are has been fully embraced, and a place where we have called home, and I have for now most of my life.
I'm not the only one who's crying today. So our trek throughout history here now takes us to the year 2020. Anybody remember this year? No? Yeah, good. On March 8th of 2020, we had a volunteer appreciation party, and we went foaling together. Chris, I don't have mine up. Can you pop that picture up? Do you still have it there? Oh, never mind. Somebody. We went foaling together. This was great fun, just to say thank you to all of our volunteers. Little did we know that would be the last time we were together in the same room for a very long time. Because the next week, COVID shut down everything. And we went online. Nate and Chris and I were in the building. We were sitting in the office kind of apart, but not really knowing what to do. And you all joined us on that first Sunday were we on Zoom then? I don't remember. Some online platform, as we figured it out together. And we thought, oh, this will be a few weeks and then we'll be back together. By the numbers, this section of history. Ready? How many Sundays were we not in this building? Yep. 78. 78, give or take a couple, Sundays that we were either online on Zoom or we were outside over here. I think there's a picture of that one too. Yep, there. Remember the squares? Chris and I had blocked that memory out of our heads, the painting those squares. Or we were at Garfield Park. Sometimes we had watch parties. Do you remember that? Some people hosted watch parties in their backyard. We found ways to gather. We had dinners and game nights online. We found ways to gather, even when we couldn't be in the same room. And then once 2022 kind of hit and we were talking about coming back into this space, we started talking about, okay, COVID hit. How now do we gather? By the way, Nate left us in that time period too. That's when he moved on to other things. And then 2022, we came back here and we said, all right, what now? What's next for the church? And we knew that it was a moment to say, normal doing things the same way we always had is not maybe the right way to go. So we came up with something that we very cleverly called Group Sundays, because we just met in groups. So there you go. That's what we did. We have done at least 15 Sundays. I think I'm really low on this, but that's all I could find. At least 15 Sundays of just meeting in small groups, of making food downstairs for AYA Youth Collective, of taking a walk together, of playing ultimate frisbee together, of doing a whole bunch of different things to remind ourselves that we are connected and that we can meet God in any space and any activity at all. All right, how many different times have we started Sunday morning worship? Who knows this one? Times of the morning, yes. Clock times. 1, we have a 1 there. 6, way too many, friend. 2 is correct. It has been 9:30 and it's been 10. Is there another one? Was there an 11? I wasn't here then, so it's fine. Okay, so at least 3. But in that COVID time, we went back and forth a little bit. And then 2023 came, and we had the opportunity to consider if we wanted to own this building. Comunidad Cristiana de Grand Rapids closed their doors, and they were the owners of this building. So we were presented with the opportunity or the question of whether we wanted to or not. How many hours was spent analyzing this decision? Not enough numbers in the world is the answer to that. We looked anywhere and everywhere we could to say, hey, do we find another space? Do we not? We finally landed on, no, this is home. This is the family's home. And this is where we're going to root deeply and invest and build a life for the future in this space with partners and making space for partnerships to happen. One of the early days, I think before we even had taken ownership, there was another church group that was just trying to figure out what they wanted to do. And we gave them space. And they were so grateful for that space to just be. And those are the kind of things that we said, oh, we can actually do this. We can do that if we own this building and we get those decisions. So we are now the owners of this beautiful, however many old year building. And there's some really good things coming. Because in 2025, Sarah, she didn't mention this in her story. I was very surprised. Sarah Grushka led a fantastically fun February fundraiser, all the words, that allowed us to purchase some things like new technology equipment and some new furniture in the cafe and the sign out front. Did you see the sign out front as you came in? I know many of you are used to it already, but to again say to everyone who drives by on 28th Street that everyone belongs here, and we are grateful to be that place. All right. Okay, one more by the number. How many cups of coffee do you think have been consumed in this building? I have a baseline. I don't know the real number. What's your guess, Lydia? 3,345. I think we could probably hit that in about 2 weeks. Way more. What's your answer? Ooh, we're getting there. By my calculations, we're at least 20,000. But I'm sure that's really low. That's really bare minimum. So we eat, we share coffee, we gather around tables, and we support one another in all of life's things. All right, one more number for you. Back when we first gathered again in the building, we had a number of baptisms, but we didn't do baptism here. We did baptism at the lake. How many people were baptized at the lake that day? I hear 3 and 4. What do you think, Lydia? 5, 3, 4, 5. 4 is the correct number. One of those is Alyssa. This is Alyssa getting dunked in the lake over there, and she's going to come and share a story as well at this time.
Okay, so if you thought me giving communion was awkward, me sharing a super personal story is probably also going to be awkward. I'm trying to not hit that too. So the branch, I wanted to tell everyone why the branch was important, or is important to me. So good. I'm a steward of numbers. So something that I noticed early on is that the branch seems to attract people who have a difficult past with the church. And I, in a similar way, also kind of had some difficulties in the past, but not maybe quite the same. Growing up, I didn't regularly attend church. I went to some youth groups here and there, or maybe some like Sunday, Easter kind of things. But every time I tried to go to something, it was almost a panic attack. And then if I didn't go to these places and worship and feel these things that I thought I was supposed to feel, also a panic attack. And also thinking, well, I shouldn't be scared to go in here. That must mean I'm a bad person, and on and on and on. Eventually, I guess I'll jump a little ahead. I was diagnosed with OCD. I don't know how many people know exactly what OCD is. There's kind of the funny stereotype of like having to have things a very specific way, or like having to turn things off and on 3 times, and it takes a lot of different forms. One of them tends to be a religious aspect, and it can be tricky to get out of. I decided to try the branch out after kind of experiencing a lot of that anxiety again in my life. After Kyle and Teresa moved in next to us, I'm sure some of you also know that they are my husband and I's next door neighbors. When they first moved in, we were a little nervous that this religious family was going to live next to us, and we're like, oh no, they're going to like try to convert us, and it's going to be so awkward. No, they were quite the opposite, and I figured if the church was anything like their family, I could find a good place to call home. And I have been really excited to be here, to be a steward, to be a part of the community. And one of my favorite things of the branch is that it helped me with immersion therapy without knowing that you guys were helping me with it, because a lot of the things that I told myself, Chris and Teresa and the community here told me the opposite of. I was told it was okay to question things. It's okay to come as you are. That mistakes don't mean damnation. That prayer could take many forms. There isn't just one way to do it and one way that's right. So thank you guys for that. That while I'll always struggle with OCD in some form, that form of it has been a lot quieter in my life now, and that I know that when my mind gets dark, that the community here will always help me shine a light. So thank you guys.
Gotcha. Quite something that someone with religious OCD and anxiety is willing to get up and share. It's a vulnerable thing to do, And really for all of the people who have shared this morning, thank you for being willing to be vulnerable and to share your part. So I started out by saying that 20 years is a long time. I stand by it. I think about how much I've changed in 20 years, not just the loss of hair. You know, I've changed in a lot of ways. I doubt you are not the same person that you were 20 years ago. You know, the journey of life, if we are open to it, offers us many chances to learn and adapt and transform. That's true of us as individuals and as communities. And so the branch, as you listen to all these stories, you know, it's not the same community that it was when it began in many ways. I was thinking this week about how we used to share communion. We would pass a whole loaf of bread down the row, and people would tear off a piece of that bread and then pass it to the person next to them. And then we would pass a singular chalice down the row, and people would dip their bread into that, and we would then eat it. And then COVID came, and we realized, fools, you know, fools. So, you know, we have changed how we serve children, how we serve students, who our partners are. I mean, there's been a lot of adaptation and shifting over the years, for sure. And yet, in the midst of all of that change, some things have stayed the same. Remember this 13-page proposal? One of the pages has a list of maybe a dozen things that we were dreaming about. Can I just read a few of them? We dream of a church where following Christ is seen as a lifestyle, not just a Sunday morning routine, where the ancient story of God is retold and lived out, where we practice good stewardship of all that the Creator has given us, time, resources, creation, gifts, and dreams, where justice, mercy, and love rule our hearts and compel us to be a voice for the voiceless, where all are welcomed and discover a place to which they truly belong. Not bad. Not bad. Our language around these ideas has shifted over the years, but there are some parts of who we are that have not changed much, and I think that's good. Those parts of us that have not changed much are the parts, I hope, that we would say are connected to the vine. We are these things. We hope to be these things. We dream of being these things, not because we've come up with these ideas ourselves, but because we see them modeled in the life of Jesus. These are core beliefs, and they've continued. The language, again, has shifted, but they've remained the same. I think about, like, the core belief of creativity. Out in the hallway here, just check it out when you walk by. There are these 5 panels that have our core values from when we began. One of them is creativity. We just redid our values a couple years ago. Guess what one of our values is? Courageous creativity, you know. The language changing slightly, but we still believe this core belief that we can trust God. And because we can trust God, we can try new things, and we can take risks, and we can live generously. Or I think about the language of the kingdom of God. That was a big thing for us when we started. We used that language all the time. Today we're leaning into the word of shalom a lot. They're the same. It's this core belief that God loves this world and has given us gifts that we are meant to give back so that the world would be renewed. That isn't going to change. That's who we are. Or I think of language around belonging, or our current word we're using is inclusiveness. It's all language around a core belief that God loves all people, period. And we are called to unequivocally love and make room for all people. You know, the world has changed. You have changed, I've changed, the branch has changed, and yet there are core parts of our identity that remain. Why? Because, again, we're connected to the vine. We draw our identity from Christ. So what do the next 20 years hold? I have no idea. But if we remain in the vine, if we remain rooted in God's love and mercy, then it will be a 20-year journey worth taking together. Yes? So, let's sing a song to kind of begin to wrap up our time. We are nearing the end, I promise. This is a short song, and it's a song we've been singing a lot lately for now probably a few years. So let's stand and sing Instruments of Peace. It's going to, in a way, be our blessing and our prayer for each other as we prepare to leave here today.
Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is darkness, let me sow light. For in the giving we shall receive, and in the dying we're given life. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Where there is sorrow, let me sow hope. Where there is doubt, let me sow faith. Where there is injury, your pardon give, your consolation to those in pain. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Amen. Amen.
Thanks, musicians. Why don't you have it? Well, actually, let's do a couple things here. Stay standing. And if you would, if you don't mind, turn around and face Mike, who's up there. If you go into the cafe today, you'll see that there are two pictures there. One taken on our first Sunday, another taken on the Sunday when Andy and Gina departed. That was 10 years in, and now here we are 10 years later. So we thought, let's take one more. So JP, Zeke, hop in here. And Mike, give us whatever instructions you'd like to give us. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. We, if I may, we have two things left to do. You want to say something about this?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, it's an ad lib. Yeah. Here's one. Yep.
We have a gift for you today because what's a party without a parting gift, right? These are tiny little bud vases of little shoots off of these plants. We have one for every household, probably at least. Take a branch home from the branch. Sorry, I had to do it.
Love it.
But we want you to take these home as a reminder of this faith community and the goodness that is here. And plant them in dirt. They will not survive in this little vase, but plant them in dirt and watch them grow. And be reminded of this community every time you look at them.
Lovely. I just wanted to recognize some guests who are here today, which are some friends from Gate Baptist back in this row back here. Daniel and some friends, yep. And we're talking about partnership, and they are current partners for us. They're going to worship in this space right as we're done. I saw Daniel yesterday, and he said, how long are you guys going to be tomorrow morning? And I said, well, we're planning on an hour and 15 minutes.
Nailed it.
Yep. So he said, that's it? That's, as a good African would say, that's it, he said, we would be here all day if it was our 20th birthday party. So we're doing fine. We've got food downstairs, food and drink downstairs. And again, in the cafe over here is a little walking history, if you didn't catch that, starting back in 1889. So I just invite you, it'll take you a couple minutes to walk through. It's, I think, really quite lovely and meaningful. Okay.
There are a couple of interactive spaces, too, that I want to point you to. Downstairs, there's a map with push pins that we would love for everybody to just put a pin wherever you live so we can see where everybody lives. If you've moved out of the area, put a pin where you lived when you were part of the branch. And then also there's squares of paper to color that will be a mosaic of our building eventually. So don't take them home. If you take a square, please don't take it home.
Color them and
leave them on the tables downstairs. And then in the cafe, you may have seen when you walked in this morning, our logo is printed out, and there's a question there that says, what is one word or phrase that describes the branch to you? We'd love for you to fill that in as well, and that will be communal art in the weeks and months to come.
Friends, receive this blessing as you go. This week, this month, this year, for the remainder of your days, would you be a branch, a planting of God in the world that you live in that bears fruit and blesses others? Go and be those people this week. Amen. Thanks for being here, everybody. Blessings.